Good morning. My name is Stephanie. After I graduate in June, I want to study to become an addictions counselor. I want to help others because I can understand what they are going through. For many years, I turned to alcohol and drugs to cope with what was happening in my life. Growing up, my home was really chaotic. My parents fought a lot. When things got really bad, I would hide in my bedroom closet and cry. I would try to block out the fighting and the screaming by sitting on my bed, covering my ears, and reading out loud to myself. In grade 5, we lost our home and moved to the other end of the city. The other kids lived in big houses, and we lived in a townhouse. They made fun of where I lived and the clothes I wore. I was bullied endlessly. They called me terrible names and told me that I was fat every day. Eventually, I started to believe them. I hated the way I looked, and in an effort to control my weight, I would throw up my food. I felt like I needed to look a certain way, and if I could get there, I would be accepted. In junior high, I started to go to school less and less, and the few friends I managed to make were not good influences on me. I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol, and the experimenting turned into a compulsion. I was looking for an escape. After my parents separated when I was 13, the bullying at school got worse and worse. I longed for control and something, anything to feel better. I started using more and more. It got to the point that I was getting high at school, my eating disorder had complete control of me, and I was spending less and less time at home. I met the man that is my child's father when I was 13 and he was 18. A year later, I was couch surfing and staying wherever I could. He invited me to stay with him. He promised to take care of me, and we started dating. When I got to his apartment, there were 8 people living in 2 bedrooms. They were all doing drugs. At this point, I just wanted to feel nothing, so I decided to try meth. I got addicted pretty quickly and started using 3 to 5 times a day. When I was high, I didn't even feel like I needed food, which made it so much easier not to eat. I remember vividly the day I realized how far I had fallen. I was walking down the hallway at school and bumped into the one close friend I had. I will never forget the look on her face when she saw me. She was shocked by how skinny and sick I looked. She sat me down and made me tell her what had been going on. My friend wanted me to get help, and she wasn't going to take no for an answer. She took me to our school counselor. The counselor advised I enter a detox program and see an addictions counselor. I felt like this was my chance to get clean. I knew I was sick. When I looked in the mirror, staring back at me was a pale ghost of myself. I barely weighed 90 pounds. I knew if I didn't get better, I would probably die. I had to get away from the drugs, so I accepted the help. Not long after I turned 15, I started to notice some changes in my body, and I decided to take a pregnancy test. It was positive. I was pregnant. I really didn't think it would happen to me. I knew I needed to take care of my baby, so I stopped drinking and doing drugs. I knew that he depended on me, and I was going to do everything I could to keep him safe. Every time I felt anxious about eating, I just kept telling myself that my baby needed the food. When I told my mom that I was pregnant, it changed everything. We forgave each other. My parents were supportive, but worried about my future. My boyfriend and I tried living together, but he was very controlling. He started to isolate me from my friends and family. He would accuse me of cheating and tell me he didn't think the baby was his. It didn't take long until he started to physically abuse me. One night he was so mad and physical with me that it really scared me. I was worried for the safety of my baby. I called my dad. He was there in minutes. We grabbed my things and I moved back in with him. I remember sitting in my old room and crying. I was exhausted and so completely lost. I was going to be a mom, and I was terrified of the baby's father. I didn't know what I was going to do. I really wanted to finish school. My sister had gone to Braemar School, and she encouraged me to do the same. I decided that this was going to be good for me. I was going to graduate. I was home when I went into labor, and my mom took me to the hospital. I was there for 15 hours before my baby's heart rate dropped drastically and doctors rushed me in for a C-section. I finally got to hold my son Aiden. After what felt like days of being in the recovery room, I was overwhelmed with love. He was so tiny. I touched his perfect little fingers and his perfect little toes. I felt like everything I had gone through, all the pain, didn't matter anymore. Right before Aiden was born, my ex-boyfriend tried to get back into my life. He promised me that he had changed. I believed him. He decided to move to Fort McMurray for work, leaving Aiden and me in Edmonton. He said that he needed to make more money to support us, and he would come back every weekend. He came back once. That was it. I was so angry. I didn't understand how he could leave his son. He gave no financial support, and over time I realized that we couldn't count on him. We deserved better. I went back to school when Aiden was 1 month old. I knew that I was lucky to get a spot for him in Terra's child care center, but it was so hard to let someone else take care of him. The workers understood and did everything they could to put my mind at ease. I was connected to a Terra support worker at school who made me feel so comfortable. I had never felt comfortable or safe at school before. She was there for me. I could tell her anything, and she would help me work through my issues without any judgment. That comfort led me to start participating in school activities and to making friends. I'm now a youth leadership ambassador and love that I can share my opinions with people I trust and know I am bettering myself. I also joined the Peers Educating Peers program because although having my son put me on the right track, it doesn't work that way for everyone. It is important to tell them what it is really like and how hard it is to be a young mom. I will graduate in June, and Aiden is now 1.5. I am so excited for our future. I know through my experiences that becoming an addictions counselor and helping others is my calling. I can be a good example and show them that it is possible to turn their lives around too. I know the pull of substances and how they can drag you down further into the darkness. But I also know that there is hope and healing, and that I will bring you into the light and allow you to live the life you've dreamed of and longed for. I am well on my way to that life. I want to be someone that my son can count on. I want him to learn from my mistakes and follow in the footsteps I am making today. I want him to know that I will love him and be there for him always. I want to give him the best life possible. I couldn't have done this without Terra. They have never let me give up. I am surrounded by people that completely support me. They have taught me that it is important to have goals and that I can take control of my future. They tell me every day that I am good enough and that I am capable of doing great things, that I am strong. And when you hear that from people you trust, you actually start to believe it. Thank you.